Sri Lanka's Dinesh Priyanta, who won the bronze medal in the men's javelin throw event at the Rio Olympics, arrived in the islands this evening.
Details on this story later on in the news. Well, hello there and a very good evening. You're with Primetime News. I'm Dasni Atada for News First.
And I'm Sharanjan Rampot. Here's a look at tonight's headlines.
President holds bilateral talks with world leaders.
American ජනාධිපති බැරක් ඔබාමා මැතිතුමා විශේෂයෙන්ම සඳහන් කළා ශ්‍රී ලංකා රජයට දෙන්න පුළුවන් සෑම සහයෝගයක්ම ලබා දෙන බව ප්‍රකාශ කළා.
Joint opposition representatives meet with the Elections Commission requesting to hold elections.
සභාපතිතුමා ප්‍රකාශ කළා දෙසැම්බර් 31 වෙනිදා කලින් ඡන්දය පවත්වන්න බැරි නම් විලාස් වෙනවා. නෑ එහෙම නෙවෙයි කිව්වේ.
3 projects launched today under the GAM at the 100 Days Initiative. Students who fail the ordinary level examination will be able to sit for the advanced level examination starting next year.
The 71st session of the United Nations General Assembly commenced yesterday at the UN headquarters in New York. News First, Shamir Azzuldin reports.
Yesterday was the opening day of the 71st sessions of the United Nations General Assembly. Over 130 plus heads of states are in New York to attend the global sessions, including President Maithripala Sirisena. In his final speech to the United Nations, outgoing Secretary General Ban Ki-moon attacked leaders who continue to feed the war machine, saying the bar of depravity has continued to sink lower.
Powerful patrons that keep feeding the war machine also have blood on their hands. Present in this hall today are representatives of governments that have ignored, facilitated, funded, participated in, or even planned and carried out atrocities inflicted by all sides of Syrian conflict against Syrian civilians.
The Secretary General in his speech also made reference to Sri Lanka.
In Myanmar, the transition has entered a promising new phase. In Sri Lanka, post-war healing efforts have deepened. In both the countries, the true reconciliation rests on ensuring that all communities, minorities and majorities alike are included in building a real union.
Meanwhile, during the day, the President held several bilateral talks. He first met the Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull at the UN headquarters. The President appreciated the assistance given by Australia to Sri Lanka for the country's development drive, and the Australian Prime Minister had extended his gratitude to the President for the cooperation extended towards Australia to tackle the growing human smuggling issue. Furthermore, the President also met the Indian State Minister of External Affairs MJ Akbar. During the meeting, the President expressed his condolences on behalf of the government and the people of Sri Lanka over the recent violence in Kashmir. President Sirisena had said that situations of this nature should be dealt with patience and the dialogue is the only way to find a solution. The Indian minister had meanwhile expressed regret over the commencement of certain Indian-funded projects in Sri Lanka, and President Sirisena had said that he will examine the progress of the projects in question. The fishermen problem plaguing both India and Sri Lanka also came up for discussion. President Sirisena also met Chief Executive of the United States Millennium Challenge Corporation, Dana J. Haid. The MCC has selected Sri Lanka for its threshold program, under which assistance will be provided for selected projects. Subsequent to top-level bilateral meetings, President took a brief moment to speak to the Sri Lankan media, now stationed in New York, to cover the UNGA.
එහිදී එක්සත් ජාතීන්ගේ මහලේකම් බෑන් කි-මූන් මැතිතුමා මොකද පහුගිය දිනවල ලංකාවට ඇවිල්ලා ගියේ.
Recently, the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon visited Sri Lanka and he was pleased to meet me again and added that the UN will continue to laud the activities related to Sri Lanka. I called on US President Barack Obama and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. President Obama said there is a positive transformation in Sri Lanka and that it is an example to the world, adding that the Sri Lankan government will be supported at any given time.
ශ්‍රී ලංකා රජයට දෙන්න පුළුවන් සෑම සහයෝගයක්ම ලබා දෙන බව ප්‍රකාශ කළා.
The President also gave a brief hint on what his speech at the 71st sessions of the UNGA would entail tomorrow.
ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන් ජාත්‍යන්තර හොඳ හිතා ගැනීමක් දැනට ලංකාවේ සිදුවන
I hope to call for assistance in the development of the country and to overcome the economic issue at a time when there is transformation taking place in the country, as well as to strengthen reconciliation in the country. I also hope to speak on drugs. This morning, the head of Brussels also spoke on drugs, and his sentiments are also echoed in my speech. It is clear that illegal drugs have become a serious issue to most of the nations. In my speech tomorrow, I hope to make a proposal for an international initiative led by the United Nations in dealing with this issue through a special program.
විශේෂ වැඩපිළිවෙලක් සම්බන්ධයෙන් මගේ අදහස් යෝජනාවක් වශයෙන් ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න.
Today is day 2 of the 71st session of the United Nations General Assembly. President Maithripala Sirisena is to address the session tomorrow at 1:30 a.m. Sri Lankan time. He is expected to speak at 3:45 p.m. here in New York on Wednesday. This is the second time in which President Maithripala Sirisena is addressing the UN sessions in his capacity as the president of the country. He is expected to highlight the commitments he made to the international community last year at the UN General Assembly and the progress he has made since taking over office on the 8th of January 2015. The international community will be opening their eyes and listening to the president speaking, as this is a very decisive time for a country like Sri Lanka. Tomorrow is going to be an important day for Sri Lanka due to the speech that would be made by President Sirisena during his visit. So far, he has met several high-ranking officials of the United States government, including John Kerry as well as Barack Obama. He also was hosted for lunch by UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon yesterday. Now, News First, of course, will keep our viewers fully up to date on all the developments that will unfold from the UN headquarters in New York. I'm Shamir Rasuldin reporting for News First from the UN headquarters in New York, USA.
Now, in his final address at the United Nations, US President Barack Obama reiterated his strong commitment to multilateralism and the world body.
On behalf of the General Assembly, I have the honor to welcome to the United Nations His Excellency Barack Obama, President of the United States of America, and to invite him to address the Assembly.
A quarter century after the end of the Cold War, the world is by many measures less violent and more prosperous than ever before. And yet our societies are filled with uncertainty and unease and strife. Despite enormous progress, as people lose trust in institutions, governing becomes more difficult, and tensions between nations become more quick to surface. We all face a choice. We can choose to press forward with a better model of cooperation and integration, or we can retreat into a world sharply divided and ultimately in conflict along age-old lines of nation and tribe and race and religion.
Welcome back. On news from here at home, a proposal made to increase the wages of the Director General of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption and members of independent commissions was approved in Parliament today. The proposal for the wage hike of the Director General of the Bribery Commission was approved without a vote, while the joint opposition called for a vote on the proposal to raise the wages of the others.
However, when a vote was carried out, there were no votes cast against it, following our experts from the debate that took place in Parliament today.
We had called for reports from each of the commissions. It's been a year and Parliament is yet to be informed of this.
Honourable MP, the reports are being prepared.
During the 10 years of the previous government, these independent commissions did not function. You had a decade to create laws. What are you talking for now?
The proposal to revise the wage and allowance of the Director General of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. Second, the proposal on the investigations, allowance and other allowances of the heads and members of independent commissions.
There are lambs in this chamber. I will not blame them. Why? These MPs are the ones who took away the independent commission. It is difficult for them to assume that the independent commissions are functioning. The independent commissions were abolished and the people in the country opposed to that. That force selected a common candidate. You are against your party leader. Some dislike the existence of the national government and for the issues in the country being solved. There are various reasons being presented. On one hand, they cannot commit theft. On the other, they cannot exert political influence. This time, the President gave the Constitutional Assembly to decide on the Inspector General of Police. This journey will not stop. When your march was over, we gave Campbell Park. You failed to fill it. And where did you go? You call yourselves the real Sri Lanka Freedom Party. 3 times your number were present in Kurunagala. Say that the independent commissions will be abolished for the next election. Are you prepared to go for an election without an independent commission?
If fraud, theft and corruption had taken place during one's time, the law needs to be implemented in the country. The law needs to be implemented equally to all. If allegations are made on something that is wrong, we too are prepared to speak against that. We are not saying that we created a complete government or a complete country. We have ventured into the untamed path to a certain percentage. The people see this.
It was back then. If there is some truth to the sainthood actions of what you say, convert this political hunt into a commission. There are a number of ministers in the government who face allegations. What investigations have taken place against them? What investigations are taking place against Arjuna Mahendran? I too have made a complaint. The Prime Minister aided in the bank issue. Investigate it. It is said that it has been moved to the Attorney General for the police to obtain advice. The advice is yet to be provided. The investigations are pending.
A group of members of the joint opposition arrived at the Elections Commission today.
A group of members of the Forum of Former Heads of Local Government arrived at the Commission yesterday, where they were granted an appointment today by the Commission. The group was accompanied by Former Minister Basil Rajapaksa. Their main demand was that the local government election be held expeditiously.
The chairman of the Elections Commission accepted that it is wrong to postpone these elections.
The chairman of the Elections Commission said that he will resign since there is no point if they are unable to hold elections before the 31st of December. No, that is not what I said. What I said was that if the basic requirements to hold elections before the 31st of December is not achieved, then there is no point of having an elections commission. That is what I said. The elections will be held when the local government bodies conclude the demarcation, and when the gazette is issued, we will hold the elections.
The chairman of the Elections Commission and the other 3 members are saying not to call this an independent commission.
Where in the Constitution does it say that there is an independent Elections Commission? It is independent, but it has not been addressed that way. The Elections Commission is always independent. We discussed that as well, but that is not what we came for.
We
will definitely win. When we obtain votes, then we will all speak. They only asks whether the party can be registered. There is already an organized party. The party of Udaya Gamanpila has not got registered. If the political parties are joining to create an organization, if they want to register that and obtain a symbol, they have to make a request from the Elections Commission. We cannot call for application since the Pudukkodi Iruppu and Maritime Pattu elections are yet to be held.
The United National Party convened a media briefing today.
What is Mahinda Rajapaksa doing? He is ruining the Sri Lanka Freedom Party through the formation of a new party. Mahinda Rajapaksa is the skipper of destroying parties. This individual has included persons like Vimal Weerawangsa and Gamanpila to the final chapter of destroying his party. This is what we have to say to him. He wanted to break away, and eventually he is breaking away from his own party.
Poverty is not a fate, but an injustice.
Today, under the Newsfirst Government the 100 Days Initiative, a project was launched in Ralapanava, where we came to understand that we are lending a hand for a generation to take a step into their future.
Come at the 100 Day Initiative. Over the years, a vehicle park used to accommodate motorcycles was converted to a place of learning. When it pours, the smudges on the books of these children leaves a mark that cannot be erased. When it's a sunny day, these children only feel humidity. Yet, this is one of the 3 schools in an area known for its vast irrigation tanks and also the birthplace of many citizens who are recognized internationally. Mahinda Ralapanava, a veteran in the legal profession who did his postgraduate study in development at University of Cambridge, is one such example. Neglected by authorities, the Ralapanava Primary School today saw the launch of a new building that would cater to the students' educational needs. We did not call for interviews this time around because there is no place to conduct them. That is my office. That is where the grade 5 students learn. I am staying in such a dark room. All I can say is that you will be blessed for taking us away from this pain. These children will enter society from this school. How many times did the people who obtain our votes travel on these roads? How many times would they have passed this area to obtain the contracts for the irrigation tanks? They turn a blind eye to this place. When politicians sought assistance, no one assisted them. If so, they should have been constructed. Why did it not take place? People had doubts as to when this would be developed through the politicians or through the authorities. They were afraid that when a building is constructed, half the funds would make its way to the pockets through fraud and corruption. However, you have linked the haves with the have-nots in these villages. Sirasa has built this bridge, and I hope that the authorities open their eyes even now. Together with the people, we commence this project for the happiness of those children, bringing more joy to the Ralapanava village. May the Sirasa Media Network be blessed for undertaking such initiatives to open the eyes of the authorities.
I believe that our children will have a better education following the completion of this building. We sense pride when we feel the great development taking place here.
This project, aimed at creating youth leaders from the village level, was launched with the financial support of persons with big hearts. When we came here, we noticed that this was one of the oldest schools that requires attention. We will not stop here. We will continue with such programs and we need your support. The locals joined with the tree planting ceremony in line with the project, taking up the responsibility of maintaining and protecting the plants. In addition, 2 other projects were also launched today under the Gammat the 100 Days program. Locals in a village known as Samanalagama in Bandaranayakapura, Hatton, have been facing a drinking water issue for many years, simply because of the neglect of authorities. Today, a new water project was launched aimed to bring a stop to their pain. Another water project was given life today at the Telbad the Tamil Vidyalaya in Badulla. The Gammat the 100 Day initiative will continue to bring joy to souls that are in sorrow.
The 100-day initiative, with the people, for the people.
Minister of Education Akhila Viraj Karyasa made an announcement today regarding those who failed to surpass the ordinary level examinations.
We will begin this initiative in 2018, which means that every student sitting for the ordinary level examinations in 2017 will be able to progress towards sitting for the advanced level examinations, whatever the result they obtain for their O-level examinations. This means that those who excel in their O-level exams have a higher chance of opting for the bio or math stream for their A-levels, while those who fall below the results of the students who excelled could maybe opt for streams like arts, music or even the technology stream. This is the method adopted by many developed countries, and we should also adopt this method so that no student is left behind. We are ready to break the challenges with this regard, and we also intend to introduce 24 new subjects to support this initiative. Discussions are currently underway into the curriculars of such subjects.
It was revealed in court today that the remains of rugby player Wasim Tajuddin have been transferred to a private medical institute in Malame.
Chief Police Inspector at the Criminal Investigation Department, Ravindra Vimalasiri, informed this to court when the suspects were produced before Colombo Additional Magistrate Nishantha Piris today. He added that several individuals were questioned over the incident and statements were recorded accordingly. Ravindra Vimalasiri informed court that according to statements recorded by the workers employed under former Judicial Medical Officer Professor Ananda Samarasekara at the time, the remains of Wasim Tajuddin had been transferred to the private medical institute in Malabe. The Chief Police Inspector said that investigations are still underway into the said telephone conversation between the Presidential Secretariat during the former regime. He said that the investigation is being carried out by a professional to determine as to whether the telephone conversation had been erased. The suspects connected to the case, former DIG Anura Senanayaka and Sub-Police Inspector of the Narayanpeta Police, Sumit Champika Pereira, have been further remanded. The case will be taken up once again on the 5th of October. It was informed court that before Anand Samarasekara retired, he had taken 15 parcels that were in the freezers to a private institute in Malabe. It was stated that the investigations regarding this is being carried out. There was no report that there were body parts of that individual in these parcels. They only said that investigations are being carried out.
The suspect who escaped police custody in Hambantota has been remanded till the 30th of September along with 3 family members after they were presented before the Hambantota magistrate today.
The suspect, alleged of carrying a petty theft, escaped police custody after he was brought to the Hambantota police. However, he surrendered himself to the police after several days with the aid of a monk. The suspect's sister and 2 other relatives who harbored the suspect have been placed in remand custody.
Leader of the National Unity Front, Azad Sali, convened a media briefing today.
අර මිනිස්සෙක් ඇවිල්ලා මැනික් දීලා ආපහු මැනික් ටික අරගෙන සල්ලි දීලා ගිය යෝෂිතගේ ආච්චි.
Yoshita's grandmother has now been issued with a court order to allow the surveyor to carry out a survey on her land, but she was not present for the survey, which only led to the surveyors waiting for them to be let in as they watched past the locked gates. So when the court inquires about her absence, she should inform them that she was in fact at courts. One disreputed the courts by requesting for the passport be returned so that one could travel overseas. The law does not lay desolate like it did during their father's regime. The law is equal to everyone now, which is why even a wrongdoer of the present government is able to seek assistance.
නිසා තමයි මේ ආණ්ඩුවේ වුණොත් අර දැන් වැරදි කෙරුවොත් ඕනෑම කෙනෙකුට අධිකරණයට ගිහිල්ලා පීඨ පතන්න පුළුවන් තත්ත්වයක් ඇති වෙලා තියෙන්නේ.
Addressing the South Asian Maritime and Logistics Forum in Colombo today, Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Y.K. Singha commented on how India benefits from the Colombo port.
India relies a great deal on Colombo port for its global trade, and 95% of our global trade is through the sea route, and 70% of the value is through maritime transport. So I think for us, the expansion, the development of Colombo port is extremely important. And that's why last year I did mention that it was important for Indian stakeholders to have a stake in the expansion of Colombo port. Specifically for Colombo, I've noted that the government of Sri Lanka has issued an expression of interest for the East Container Terminal, and I'm happy to see that there are some prominent Indian companies that have joined to bid for this important project.
Following are the views expressed on the future development plans in the Western Province region.
If you really look at the history of this country, every time we have done well, it is when we connected ourselves with the rest of the world. Every time we try to pull back, we have really suffered. If logistics and value-added trade, global value chains, production networks is to become a reality, if this is to become a reality, the port city and the megapolis is going to be a reality, then we have to free up our minds.
The proposed extension of the expressway from the Kalani River, which is the light blue dots that you see, right into one of the entrances of the port city. And then from the Kalani River, another extension that will bring you to the Rajagiriya area and also towards the Southern Expressway. The other proposed, I stress, proposed connection would be the underground tunnel that we intend to put together from the second entrance of the port city towards the Marine Drive at the Kolopitia Junction, so that we do not add to the traffic congestion of Gaul Road.
Well, here's a look at more local stories in brief.
Experts from the US Pacific Command provided training for disaster response counterparts from Sri Lanka and Maldives on preparation and response to potential oil spill scenario that could severely impact local environment and tourism. The US Embassy in Sri Lanka quotes Ambassador Atul Keshup saying that protecting the well-being of the Indian Ocean region is one of the reasons why it's important to develop regional cooperation, and adds that the United States will stand together with Sri Lanka and Maldives to ensure seas can continue to provide food and employment. An event to bid farewell to the outgoing press attaché of Pakistan in Sri Lanka was held in Colombo last evening. The outgoing press attaché, Muhammad Daud Ehtisham, had served for 6 years at the mission in Sri Lanka and will be replaced by Intisar Ahmed. The event was graced by the Pakistan High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, retired Major General Said Shakil Hussain, and several distinguished guests.
Well, in sports news, Sri Lanka's Dinesh Priyanto, who won the bronze medal in the men's javelin throw F46 event at the Rio Paralympics 2016, arrived in the island this evening and was extended a warm welcome at the airport.
Dinesh Priyanto won bronze, clearing a distance of 58.23 meters, recording his personal best. Dinesh, a member of the Gajaba Regiment of the Sri Lanka Army, suffered an injury in a terrorist attack in Kilinochchi in 2008. I'm pleased. None of the fellow soldiers expected this. I'm happy for my regiment as well. Dinesh Priyanto was escorted from the airport premises by the marching band of the Sri Lanka Army and the cheers of many.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. For the News First team, I'm Dasnia Thada.
And I'm Shahin Rampati. Good night and take care.